So I believe that the water you drink can actually have the most profound effect and impact on your health. As the oldest girl of a family of 9, I was raised on goat's milk and butchered our own steers and had our own gardens, so I knew what health was. But when I was 11, my grandmother, who had taught me to read, who had taught me to darn a sock, who had taught me how to make French knots, came down with Parkinson's. And I watched this amazing, gifted, talented woman basically dissolve in front of me. And I can, to this day, when I hear the word Parkinson's, I can still hear the rattle of her teacup on her saucer. That stayed with me. And then by the time I was 32, my father, who I had one day, was gone the next day. And he had passed away from heart disease. And what started to happen, and I started to see in my life, is my family were like grains of sand, and they were just falling through my fingers, and there was nothing that I could do. So I thought, I'm going to start researching. And so I started finding the best books, the best doctors, the best newsletters, and I started highlighting. And I didn't just do it for me, but I started highlighting for the people that I knew. Tina, whose son had autism, I went, oh, here's an article, and I put her name and highlight it. And I started putting these in great, big, thick notebooks, and I started buying more and more books to read because I thought maybe I could somehow help somebody not suffer what I was witnessing. And I realized early on, not to my choosing, but literally tattooed into my soul, was the need and the desire to not let people suffer. By the time I was 42, my beloved mom, who raised 7 kids, had cancer. And I watched her dissolve in a miserable disease. And then about 12 or 13 years ago, I started to notice that the tips of my fingers were getting kind of numb and that my handwriting was changing. And I looked it up, and it showed that it was the beginning signs of Parkinson's. Now I filled with lead because how was I going to help myself? So I doubled down on my research. And then my sister got cancer, and she was the Mother Teresa of our family. So again, the grains of sand continued to fall through my hands, and I could do nothing. So I basically had my Scarlet O'Hara moment where I just said, as God is my witness, you are going to show me something simple so where I could start to help people. So a friend said to me, you know what, you need to come to a health seminar, and you need to find out about your water. I'm going, water? I've spent thousands of dollars on supplements. I've got all these readings. I've got all these therapies. Water, what would water have to do with anything? And I sat in this meeting, and I drank 2 tall glasses of water, and it was like somebody blew fresh air on my face. I felt so different. I was shocked. And then I listened how this water had been used in some of the top hospitals in Japan for 45 years, and really caught my attention. So I continued to drink it, because also at that time, not only did I have the fingertip issue, but I had suffered for 1.5 years with Parkinson's, or not Parkinson's, excuse me, sciatica. And I'd spent $5,000 trying to get rid of that. 3 days on the water, the sciatica was gone. And I thought, it's not water, water can't do this. I got off it after a week, the sciatica came back. So I stayed on the water for 8 months, and I started sharing with people. And they started to say, Robin, I'm sleeping better. I'm getting off my diabetic medication. My blood pressure is changing. My eczema is going away. So the more confident I became at about the 8th month, I did something dramatic and radical for me. I took all those big notebooks that I had, and I opened them up over a recycle bin, and I dropped it, all those pages, and it filled up almost half a bin. And then I collected all the books that I'd had, and I took them to the library, and I donated them. And that was so freeing for me, it was like boulders fell off. And I literally raised my hands like this over the recycle bin, and I said, thank you. Because I now knew I had something that could potentially help and change people's lives. So then about 1.5 years ago, I opened up a health and wellness center. And through that, it has become my own research center, because people pass the door. I get to see what they have coming in and how they feel once they've been on this water. So it's amazing. So what I do is I help people understand that if they can change their water, they can actually change their health. But who I am is I'm a messenger to tell you that your DNA is not your destiny.